Welcome to the Touchdown Show on the Action Network, presented by Bet365. I'm Gilles Gallant, and I'm joined every week with my man, Dr. Nick Giffen. Now, Dr. Nick, hello, everybody. You went 2 of 5 last week, man. And I wanted people to kind of know this. Like, you hit an 18-1 long shot on Justin Jackson. I have to know, are you going to have another long shot for us this week, Nick?
I will have a long shot. It won't be 18-1 long, but we definitely will get one in the long shot picks. I do have to say, I think Justin Jackson might be my new favorite NFL player.
Yeah, I mean, what a grab, what a touchdown. Now, these picks today were going to be all anytime touchdown picks. They're going to be for the 1 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Eastern games. We're each going to give you 5 picks, and we're going to start with our lowest odds, work our way up to the long shot odds. Also, stick around after our picks. We've got a special touchdown odds boost 2-pick parlay from Bet365. You don't want to miss this. Stick around for that. Also, if this is your first time watching the Touchdown Show, make sure to download the Action Network app, as this has all of mine and Nick's picks tracked. You can get them as soon as we bet them at the sportsbook, and you can track your picks too. Now, the Touchdown Show is presented by Bet365. It's the world's favorite sportsbook brand. If you sign up with promo code ACTION, you'll get Bet365's exclusive sign-up offer in both New Jersey and Colorado. All you got to do, Nick, is bet $1 on any game. You get $200 free. Pretty sweet deal.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's get it started here. I think people are tired of hearing about all the fun that we had last week. Let's get right into the bets. These are our red zone bets. So these are touchdown picks with odds less than plus 250. And I'm going to get us started. And I'm going to start with the Chargers versus Browns. And I'm going to take Kareem Hunt at plus 170, Nick. And now, for anybody who's looking to tail, don't bet this below plus 150. But Kareem Hunt, to me, he's the best backup running back in the league. Like, I'll fight anyone who disagrees. Nick, I know we just met each other, but I don't want to have to fight you if you disagree. 4 red zone targets this year. Nick Chubb, for example, he has none. One of the things about Hunt, though, that really stands out, 13 red zone carries, because Chubb has 15. Gets a ton of volume. Hunt is right there. The stat that stuck out to me too, 1 red zone carry inside the 10-yard line in all 4 games. So you know that it's not just Chubb or nobody at the goal line. The Chargers as well, Nick, been struggling against running backs this season. 5 touchdowns allowed, 3 of them by the pass, which is Kareem Hunt's specialty. Now, also, very recent results. They played last year. Hunt rushed for 2 touchdowns. Chubb had 1. So again, I think everybody can eat on this Browns roster. And from a odd standpoint, Kareem Hunt was plus 150 or lower each week of the season to score a touchdown. So we're getting a little bit of extra value here, Nick, at plus 170. So Kareem Hunt at plus 170 is my first touchdown score bet of week 5.
I like it. And good news is we don't have to fight, because I agree with you. Best backup RB in the league. All right, moving on to my first pick. I'm going to go over to the New England Patriots versus the Detroit Lions game. I'm going to take Rhamondre Stevenson at plus 160 to get into the end zone. He kind of has become the de facto RB1 here on the New England Patriots. He's definitely played more snap counts. So, obviously, if he's going to be getting the bulk of the work, I really like him. Also, New England is in a really interesting situation here. They're down to their 3rd string quarterback, Bailey Zappi. And, that means they could be more run heavy than normal. And if that's the case, then obviously that means a lot more Rhamondre Stevenson potential. The Lions have allowed the 6th most yards rushing per game, and they've given up the most touchdowns to running backs with 8. And all 8 of those, crazy enough, have come on the ground. Now, I know Rhamondre Stevenson does get some work through the passing game as well. Well, the good news is after Brian Hoyer went down, Stevenson was the most targeted player with 4 targets. So he could get a lot of work in the passing game as well if there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. The model projects 120 as fair, so we're getting plus 160 here. I like that value.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things too, Bailey Zappa didn't really get a lot of pass attempts last week in Green Bay. I don't really expect him to get a lot more this week as well. They're going to be a very run heavy offense. I think both Stevenson and Harris could score. So yeah, I love this value here, getting it at plus 160. Let's move on to the next pick. And we're going over to the Titans versus Commanders. And I'm going to be taking Terry McLaurin at plus 210. I wouldn't play it any lower than plus 175. Now, McLaurin, he does play over 90% of snaps, 4 red zone targets this year. That's a team lead, but only 1 touchdown. The team leader, Jahan Dotson, the rookie, he's not going to be playing this week, so it should be a little bit more opportunity for McLaurin here. Now, the Titans secondary, they've given up 6 touchdowns to wide receivers this year, Nick. That's 31st in the NFL. And a wide receiver 1 in the Titans 4 games that they've played, they get way more odds respect. Like Stephon Diggs, minus 110, Devontae Adams, plus 110. Even Michael Pittman was getting like plus 150 odds. And again, I don't want to mischaracterize here. Like, I don't want to say McLaurin is on that level as far as talent goes, but I still feel like from a wide receiver 1 standpoint, we're getting a bit of a sweet deal here. And these are peak odds. Like, he was around plus 175 in week 3 versus the Eagles. Now, one of your favorites, Curtis Samuel, I was trying to wrestle with this decision if I liked Curtis Samuel or Terry McLaurin this week. I think both could have a big game, but I think McLaurin is the guy who's going to get a touchdown today against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Gilles. I actually love McLaurin this week. The Titans, 32nd in pass DVOA against the deep ball, and McLaurin gets the deep targets. Also 30th in DVOA on passes to the left and passes to the right defensively for the Titans. And McLaurin lines up on the outside 80% of the time. So I think this plays to his strengths. Love that pick by you. For my second pick in the red zone, I am going to go over to the LA Rams versus your Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to take Cam Akers to get in the end zone against your boys there. So, Akers is the rushing back in this split role with Henderson. Henderson gets a lot of the passing game work, obviously gets some rushes as well. And Akers largely features in the rushing game. Thankfully, he faces a Dallas defense that is kind of a rushing funnel defense. They're 25th in defensive DVOA against the rush, while they're 5th so far this year against the pass. They've been a lot better against the pass than they have been against the rush. The Rams are favored at home. They are at this point 5.5-point favorites, and our brand new luck rankings at the Action Network say they should potentially be favored by even more. The Rams so far this year are 24th in luck, while the Cowboys are 6th in luck. And if we add in a little recency bias, last week, the Rams were dead last in luck, while Dallas was the 3rd luckiest against my Washington Commanders. Congrats to your Cowboys on that rivalry matchup there. So if anything, maybe they should be a little more than a 5.5-point favorite, which should, again, play into the rushing game's favor here at home. I have 160 projected as fair odds, so plus 240, excellent value here for Cam Akers.
How dare you call Dallas the 3rd luckiest team in the NFL? I just such disrespect. Now, I will say they are 3-0 with Cooper Rush, so I would definitely agree with you that the luck rankings would probably be on the higher end to go 3-0 with a Cooper Rush quarterback. But again, I just the slights, I don't love it going against the Rams right now. So that's okay, though. Maybe we'll pull off this upset. Let's move over to the midfield bets. So these are Nick and I's touchdown picks with odds between plus 250 and plus 500. So a little bit more of a higher value here. And we're going to move to the afternoon slate, looking at the Eagles versus the Cardinals, Nick. I like Zach Ertz at plus 290 to score a touchdown, and I wouldn't play it any lower than plus 230. Now, in Arizona, not a lot of passing options right now, so I really like Zach Ertz to get his 3rd touchdown of the season, because when you just look at the raw stats, like, he's 2nd in the NFL in overall red zone targets with 10, and 6 of those were inside the 10-yard line. So when they get down low, they look for Ertz consistently. And the Eagles, we've talked about this. They've been pretty decent versus tight ends this year, but it wasn't that long ago, really. Like, even just last year, that we were banking on basically a tight end to score every week against Philly. Like, they gave up 14 touchdowns to tight ends last year, Nick. So I'm thinking that right now, I hate to use they're due, but again, there is that revenge game angle that people like to play into with Ertz going back to playing against Philadelphia. And also from a tight end standpoint, the Cardinals just released Max Williams. So Zach Ertz has pretty much no competition except for Trey McBride at the tight end spot. And we were talking about this off air. According to your model, the fair price, I guess, for Zach Ertz would be around plus 245. So getting it around plus 290, I think it's a nice little deal here. So Zach Ertz at plus 290 is my 3rd pick of week 5.
Yeah, I really like that pick. I actually was, considering taking that myself, and I may just have to go bet it after the show. All right, I am going to go over now to the Buffalo Bills versus the Pittsburgh Steelers for my first midfield pick. I'm going to go with Isaiah McKenzie plus 280 to get into the end zone. He is solidly locked in as the wide receiver 3 on this Buffalo Bills team. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis really have some strong wide receiver threats. And I think all of them have a chance to get to the end zone today. This is a very good matchup for them, but especially for Isaiah McKenzie, who gets to get lined up against nickelback Arthur Mollett. And Mollett has allowed 1.63 yards per route run this year. That is incredibly high. So this is definitely a great matchup for McKenzie, who does line up in the slot a lot. McKenzie has been a touchdown machine so far in 2022. He has scored a touchdown 3 times this year, and they've come in 3 separate games out of the 4 games he's played. So 75% of the time this year, he's scored a touchdown, and he's had 4 red zone targets. But not only has he had 4 red zone targets, he's had 4 targets inside the 10. So every single red zone target has come inside the 10. That's a lot of touchdown opportunity. Isaiah McKenzie, great matchup, great situation, high-powered offense. Plus 280 is my first midfield pick.
I love this bet, especially because of the 3 and 4 games touchdown stat, because if you would just blindly bet Isaiah McKenzie touchdown prop every week, you'd be up just over 7 units of profit. He's the most profitable Buffalo Bills player so far this season when betting touchdown props. And I'm going to stick with this game as well. I'm going to play a pick in the Steelers versus Bills game, but I'm actually going over to the Steelers side, and I'm going to take Pat Freiermuth at plus 390. I would still play it down to plus 300. Now, the Steelers, with Mitch Trubisky as at quarterback, haven't really been in the red zone very much this season, Nick, which is why Muth, he leads the team with 3 red zone targets, which is the team lead, and 30 targets in 4 games, just trailing Deontay Johnson on that roster. Now, we are getting Kenny Pickett this week. I think we still expect him to struggle, but I think we could all agree it's an upgrade over Mitch Trubisky. And this is a key point too. So Buffalo's secondary and defense it's a huge loss for them this week because they don't have Tremaine Edmonds, middle linebacker. Now, he has been Pro Bowl linebacker for them in 2 of the last 3 years. And since the start of last year, Buffalo has only allowed 4 total touchdowns to tight ends since the start of last year. That's first in the NFL. But in the 2 games that Tremaine Edmonds missed, 2 of those touchdowns were scored. So that's, to me, how much of an impact he makes on this defense, especially over the middle, being able to help stop the run, but also in coverage. And I think the odds are a pretty good deal here, especially when you look at the rest of the weeks that we have seen. Freiermuth's odds never been over plus 250. Now we're getting it at plus 390. I feel like this is maybe a little bit too much of an overcorrection, especially with the fact that we're getting a quarterback who has just much better ability to throw the ball. So give me Pat Freiermuth at plus 390 to score a touchdown against Buffalo.
Very nice. I like it. Yeah, we got 2 picks in that game, so hopefully we get some touchdowns there. For my second midfield pick, I'm going to go to the game between the New York Jets and their league division rivals, the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going to take Garrett Wilson, who you took last week. I'm taking him this week at plus 300. Obviously, Garrett Wilson, we know the talent that he has, and now he's getting the playing time. His snap percentage has increased every week from 49 to 61, 63 to 77% of the snaps last week in week 4. He has, in those 4 games, 9 red zone targets, including 7 red zone targets inside the 10-yard line. So while he does have a low reception rate in the red zone, he's only caught 3 out of 9 and only 2 out of 7 inside the 10. The volume is there. So eventually the receptions will start coming. And if those receptions start coming in the red zone, that means the touchdowns will be coming from inside the red zone. Also, really nice matchup. Much like Isaiah McKenzie, the Dolphins here struggle versus the slot. They are 28th in DVOA in passes to the middle third of the field and dead last in shorter passes. Obviously, Wilson has the shortest ADOT among the Jets' regular wide receivers at 10.8 yards. So definitely like this play. Project fair odds here at plus 220, so plus 300. That is a huge edge there for Garrett Wilson. I think he finally gets it done this week.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too that they kept going to him in the red zone, because if you look at the full totality of his stats, 4 of those red zone targets, the ones inside the 10, those were all in week 2 against Cleveland. But the fact that he's still getting looks, his snap counts are increasing, which you kind of expect for a rookie as well, especially when you already have Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. So a nice little Wilson to Wilson connection. I think that could actually be a nice little spot here for you, especially because I mean, I'm a fan of Garrett Wilson. I mean, we bet him last week, him and Moore, and didn't come through for us. But again, getting it now at plus 300, very decent price here. Okay. We're going to be moving now to our long shot bets. So these are any touchdown picks with odds of plus 500 or more. And Nick, I usually give you first dibs on this one. I want to go first this time. And we're going to move to the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. And I'm going to take, again, this is a pretty stinky pick. I'm going to take Olamide Zaccheaus at plus 500. And I would still play it down to plus 400. And the reason why it's probably a tough pick to swallow for somebody who wants to tail is just because the Falcons offense is kind of tough to watch. Marcus Mariota's passing attempts and yardage has decreased each game. But the reason why we like Zaccheaus in this spot is the opportunity. Like, there's no Kyle Pitts, no Cordero Patterson. He's played over double the snaps than the next receiver on the team. And when you look at their wide receiver depth, obviously Drake London is the golden goose here. But once you get past him, it's like a wasteland of just unproven skill players. And, Mariota, he's thrown 3 touchdowns this year. 2 of them have gone to Drake, but Zaccheaus has the other. And when you look at the touchdown odds, Drake is around plus 200-ish to score. As a wide receiver too in this offense, he should not be over plus 400 just based on the volume, opportunity, and snap count. So getting this at plus 500, I do like this bet. So Olamide Zaccheaus at plus 500 is my long shot bet for week 5.
Man, you are playing to my heartstrings here. Zaccheaus, of course, being the Virginia Cavalier, and Virginia is, of course, my favorite college team. So I love it. I can't argue with you on any of that. But no, I agree with you. As the second option, essentially, in this passing offense, plus 500, just way too long. So for my long shot pick, no plus 1,800 pick this week, as I mentioned off the top. But we are going to go with a plus 500 pick, and I'm going over to this game between the Jaguars and the Houston Texans. I'm going with tight end O.J. Howard to get into the end zone. As I mentioned, plus 500. And this is another situation where, there's opportunity here, just like you talked about with Zaccheaus. And that's because Brevin Jordan has been ruled out, and Pharaoh Brown has been cut and signed with, I think it's the Cleveland Browns now. So that pretty much leaves O.J. Howard as the tight end 1 here, which, that's excellent because he gets a solid matchup against Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars rank 28th in defensive DVOA versus the tight end position. And per our own Sean Kerner, director of predictive analytics here at the Action Network, and my boss, the Jags actually cover in zone coverage at the 12th highest rate in the league. And Howard himself has 3.35 yards per route run versus zone coverage. And he's not made a single reception versus man coverage. So this matchup does play to his strengths by the fact that the Jags do cover more than average versus use zone coverage, I should say, more than average. So just the fact that he's the tight end 1 and you're getting him at plus 500 is great. He shouldn't be any lower than plus 300 here, which is what our projections have him. So plus 500 is literally a 50% expected ROI if our projections were to be accurate. And Kerner is pretty darn accurate in his projections. So definitely like this value on O.J. Howard.
Yeah, definitely don't. We definitely can sing the praises of Mr. Sean Kerner here. And the one thing that I would say too with OJ that I found really interesting is, like, if you look at week 1 when he scored those 2 touchdowns against the Colts, he only played like 12 snaps the entire game and caught two balls for 2 touchdowns. And it was like right off the street. Like, we haven't even heard of him. We didn't know what team he was going to land on. They signed him that week. He catches 2 touchdowns. And I will say Jordan Akins might get a couple of snaps as well at tight end. But again, I think O.J. Howard is just that red zone threat playing against Jacksonville. So let's recap all the picks here. So I'll go through mine and then I'll run down yours. So I have got Kareem Hunt at plus 170, Terry McLaurin at plus 210. We've got Zach Ertz at plus 290, Pat Freiermuth at plus 390, and my long shot bet of Olamide Zaccheaus at plus 500. And Nick's picks today, he's going to have Rhamondre Stevenson at plus 160, Cam Akers at plus 240, Isaiah McKenzie at plus 280, and Garrett Wilson at plus 300. And finally, his long shot of OJ Howard plus 500. So if anybody is sticking around here, I'm glad you did, because Bet365 has done a special anytime touchdown boosted parlay for the show, and we wanted to unveil this. It is Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry with an anytime touchdown. It was down to around plus 240. Now it's up to plus 300, just to have some stats to support this parlay. Like, for example, Chubb, he's second in the NFL, 5 rushing touchdowns. He's second in red zone carries. He scored last year versus the Chargers, as we brought up during the Kareem Hunt segment. And his odds are usually around minus 110 to minus 150 to score each week. Now, Derrick Henry, another guy, if you've been in a coma maybe for the last 3 years, you're not aware of King Henry, but he is the running back god. Like, only 7 red zone carries this year, but he's got 3 touchdowns in that spot, like over 20 carries in 3 of 4 games. And Nick as well, in his last 4 road games with the Titans, scored 7 touchdowns. So Nick, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on this parlay? Because I know sometimes they can be frowned upon, but I feel like for a parlay, a nice little solid 2-pick parlay, this is solid here.
Yo, this one is actually really solid. Funny enough, I was actually showing value on this pre-odds boost. So if you look at Chubb and Henry and look at their individual touchdown odds, and obviously they're independent events, you can then multiply them to find their odds on their parlay. Well, I had fair value at plus 205. So we're getting this boosted to plus 300. I love this. This is monster value here. Go play this parlay at Bet365, and thank you to them for giving us this boost so that all of you can take advantage of it as well.
Absolutely, Nick. And the touchdown show, I want to remind everybody, is presented by Bet365, the world's favorite sportsbook brand. If you sign up with promo code ACTION to get Bet365's exclusive sign-up offer in New Jersey and Colorado, all you got to do is bet $1 on any game, and you get $200 free for signing up. Well, that's all for today. 5 picks from me, 5 picks from Nick, and of course, a touchdown boosted parlay from Bet365. We're going to see you next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I want to remind everybody to stick around for the Action Network YouTube channel. Convince Me is coming on next with more Week 5 NFL best bets. Of course, I'll have some touchdown score picks and props coming out later today for Sunday Night Football between the Bengals and the Ravens. And you could follow me on Twitter at GDog5000. Make sure to follow Dr. Nick as well at RotoDoc. And you can track all of our bets in the Action Network app. I want to thank everybody for watching the Touchdown Show presented by Bet365. Bon chance.